Hi y'all, this is Regina from Regina's Crafting and More. Welcome back to my channel. I know I've been gone a little while. I had hip surgery and haven't been able to sit in my craft room or stand and do much in my craft room for a while. So I've created a little design. Let me show you real quick. Just hang on, don't get sick. I'm going to move you around. Let's see, can you see that? Hopefully you can see that. I can't zoom in. It says hugs. It has a scroll with a heart in it on the top and the bottom. It has some little hearts on either side. And I'm going to embroider that directly onto my cardstock. Okay. And I'm going to show you how I got the text into the cardstock. This is a 5x7 card. And then how to embroider on the front. All right, so let's get started. All right, so I'm going to show you where I go to print the inside of my card. I go to greetingsisland.com and I click on cards, and you can see it has a lot of different cards. You could just add your text to inside text and then print it if you just want to do a quick card. But I'm just here to show you how to print your sentiment on the inside of the card so you can embroider on it. Doesn't make any difference where you go in here. I'm going to go to For Her. Now, if you see this premium underneath the card, don't choose it to create your text, because you can't download and you can't print because you have to be a member. So I'm just going to click this one. It's for a 5x7. I'm going to hit Customize, and I want to edit the inside of the card. So this one doesn't have any text already in it, so we're going to add text. This dialog box lets you choose the font. I'm going to pick something up here that you can see, Spicy Rice, and you move your mouse and it lets you see the font color, and I'm going to choose red, and it will let you do a larger text, but I'm going to add several lines of text, so let me go back over here. Let's just try that one. Now click in here. Now this lets you align left, center, and right, and I've got mine on center. I'm going to type happy first birthday. Well, type birthday. And I'm going to hit enter because I want her name on the next line. And that text is going to be a little big, so there we go, let's try that. I went to this slider and just slid it and then click back in. I'm going to hit the enter key, or it may say return on yours. This year has gone, I hit enter, by so fast. That's still a little big, so let's go up here and make it. So I resized it. I click back down here, enter, or return. Can't wait to see what this next year has in store for you. We love you so much. Okay, so let me put a period here. All right, so there's a couple options. We click next. You can go to print now, or you can go to download. So let's go to download first. So we're going to download 5x7, letter size, US, Canada, download. And it brings up your File Explorer. This is a very important step. You need to know where you're going to put it. C is your computer's hard drive. That's your main hard drive. I have a lot of external drives, so you can see I have several external drives. I'm going to put mine on one of my other drives. If you don't have a folder, let me get rid of this one. I right-clicked and went up to delete to get rid of that empty folder. So if you don't have a folder that says greeting cards, you can click right here to new folder, and it brings this up, and you can name it. Okay, I'm going to go to greeting card sayings, and I'm going to come down here to the bottom and highlight that. That's the name it gives it automatically, and just type Ellie's card. Well, I already have an Ellie's card, so it's going to ask me if I want to replace it. It won't do this to you unless you've already named a card the same name you've just typed. So I'm going to hit save and say replace. All right, so I want to go back to the design now because I want to show you the printing. So we're going to go to next and print now. Oh my word, it shows both. I don't want to print this page. No worries. Make sure it's on 5x7. Click next. Just click print. All right. And oh dear, it's still going to print 2 pages. No, it won't. So on your printer dialog box, which is where I am, look for where it says pages and click where it says all and go to custom. And it'll bring up this other little section, and you want to type 2 because we just want the second page. You see how that just popped up now? So I'm rolling my mouse and there's no other pages. All right, so we only want 1 copy. Make sure you have your cardstock in your printer now. It's in portrait mode and it's color. If yours says black and white, make sure you click color. Okay, and then we would print it. Now I already have one printed, so I'll be back in just a minute to show you how to, we'll go to the cutting table and I'll show you how I get it cut. Whoops, get it cut. Okay, so my card inside printed. There's nothing on the back, on the front. We just have the inside of the card, sorry for reaching, which would be the inside of this card. So now we got to cut it down. So just fold it in half. By the way, I'm not using cardstock on this because I've already done my card, so I'm just using plain paper. But it's the same principle regardless of what you use. Okay, and I turned it this way. So let's see here. We need 5 this way. And I line it up. And I'm using the Creative Grids ruler. So I've got a 5 here, which you're not going to be able to see. And this is 8.5 this way. So I'm going to cut it 5 inches first across. Get this out of the way. And then I want to cut this. So let me show you on the inside of this. So see, everything's good. That's centered. And then I need to turn this. Okay, and I need this to be 7. So half of that is 3.5. Okay, and this is 8.5, which is 4.25. So I go 4.25 here. So 1, 2, 3, 4.25. So that's my halfway mark on the paper, and I want to go 3.5. So I have a 3.5 mark on my ruler that I'm putting on the 4.25 mark of my card. And I'm lining up my edge, and everything's straight. Okay, let me straighten that just a little bit. There we go. I'm using my lines across this way, and I'm cutting that side off. Then I'm going to turn this around. Okay. And I'm going to look for my 7-inch mark on this side, because remember I just flipped my paper around, and I line up at the top, I line up at the bottom, and I trim. Okay, so there is my 5 by 7. Let's see here, let's do it this way. I think you might be able to see here. Here's my 5 inches, and here's my 7 down here. So it would be like this card in the cardstock. So there's the saying that I did for Sophie. This is the same thing, but in the cardstock. This is just plain paper. That's how I cut it to 5 by 7. It's the same size as this. Okay, so if you wanted to do this stitching on another piece of card, say this cardstock was red, and you wanted to do the stitching on a piece of white or cream to put on here, you could reduce this drawing or this embroidery design a little bit to fit on, say, a 4 by 6 piece of cardstock that you would put on top of this one to make it real decorative. I just did it plain, but then this is the card that I finished. This is a piece of red cardstock that I cut a little bit smaller than this side, and used my seal, SEALAH tape to put it on the back of the red and attach it to this part of the card. You could glue it. You don't have to use this tape. You can use just a plain double-sided tape that you can get from Walmart or the office supply, and that gets you your finished card. All right, I'm back, and I'm getting ready to embroider on the front of the card. I have my 5 by 7 hoop. Hang on a minute. I've hooped my 5 by 7 hoop, and I've hooped cutaway stabilizer in my 5 by 7 hoop. My design that I created has a placement stitch for the card stock. So let me get started. I have Floriani thread in my threaded in my machine, and I'm going to get started. My first stitch is going to be for the placement of the card. By the way, I have a 65/9 needle in my machine. So that the perforations of the cardstock, the little holes that it makes, are fairly small. You can't hardly see them. Okay, so let me just show you real quick. This is my test. I created this design. I have a membership with Creative Fabrica, so all of you know that my designs are legal designs. All the graphics that I use are legal designs. So I've brought my design into my software from Creative Fabrica and digitized this one. This was my test piece. It was a 4 by 4 design. I just wanted to see how it did. This is the back of it. Okay, so you're going to have to put something on the back. Whether it's another piece of cardstock or fabric would be up to you, whatever you decide to do. But this is the stitch out. So I've resized it, made it larger, spaced it out a little bit more for 5 by 7. So let me, in order to adhere my cardstock, so here's my sentiment on my card, and I need to secure, so hopefully you can see that my card fits right inside where my placement stitch is. And in order to secure it down, if I had it, I would use some double-sided tape from Walmart or grocery store or the office supply house, but I don't have any. So I have this tape made by Shayla. It's a double-sided sticky tape. The side's sticky, and then you have to peel the top off. And I'm just going to cut a couple of small pieces to put in the corners to hold the card. I used, on my sample that I showed you just a little while ago, I used sticky back stabilizer, and that worked pretty good, but my needle kept dropping the thread, and that could have been because I was using, I'm not even going to tell you what kind of thread I was using. It wasn't really great thread. Oh, I will tell you. I was using Coats thread. I have a lot of Coats thread still, and I use it occasionally. So I've put a little piece down on, let me see if I can use my other hand. I put the little piece and I pressed on it, and I'm peeling back the top part of the double-sided sticky tape, and it's leaving a residue like it should. I should have pressed it a little bit more, so hopefully that'll hold. And I'm going to put another piece down in the other corner, but you could use adhesive spray. You could use, like I said, the double-sided sticky tape. Let me press this down real good. And I'm just using this because it's all I have, and I just want to hold this until the design. Okay, that's not. Let me stick this back under there. There we go. Rub, 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 rub. I got to go to the store and get some regular double-sided tape. I guess it's different from what I'm using here. There we go. Whoops. Peel up a little bit more. Just want to leave some stickiness on my cutaway stabilizer. There we go. All right, so I'm going to put my card in here, make sure that it's even, and it is, and I'm going to press in these corners to hopefully hold that down enough to get started, and then I don't have to worry about it. So I didn't press my crease a whole lot until I'll get this done. So I'm going to do the hugs and, oops, I put in red. Yes, I'm going to do the hugs and the hearts in red. And so I have my Floriani thread in. And I'm going to just kind of hold it a little bit back here until it gets going good. And hopefully I won't be dropping thread like I was. No. Okay, so what is going on? Hang on. All right, so I'm going to go to my machine and back up because it's stitched. Okay, why aren't you backing up? There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to hold my thread and hold the card. Let it get started and okay, so let me get my thread out of the way and trim it. Just like if you were doing any embroidery anywhere else. Okay. So the hugs, the word hugs, it does the H, and it will cut or leave you a jump stitch. I probably should have turned off the cutting and just left the jump stitch. And then it goes over and does the UGS starting with the S. And it's still dropping thread. Why am I dropping thread? Oh, yeah. The needle up. Let's thread it once again. I do not understand. something I'm going to have to figure out why it's dropping thread. Alright, I'll just hold it, back it up. Hang on to that thread, so. Okay, so I'm going to trim that thread off so it doesn't get caught up in my design. So I had been asking in several groups on Facebook how to create designs for making greeting cards, and not just stitching it on a piece of fabric and then adhering it to the front of the greeting card. And I went to my software group and never got an answer really definitive on what to do, how to do it. So I just played with it and came up with several designs already. This one I wanted to make to put it in the mail to someone. Okay. And so it looks like we're doing okay so far. Might have still had some tackiness from the sticky back stabilizer that I did on my test piece. Alright, so my design is, I created it to stop after it did the word hug, so you can use any color you want. And now it's going to the hearts, and you could change whatever, put in whatever color you want. But I've made it stop so that you could do that. I'm just going to continue with my red. And when I do the scrolls, I'm going to change it to gold. So there's 4 little hearts in this design. 2 at the top of hugs and 2 at the bottom. I know the sample I showed you wasn't like that. I'll put this up here real quick. Okay, so when I made the design bigger for the 5x7 card, I scooted these up, which I could probably even do in the 4x4 a little bit, and created two more hearts and put these at the top and the bottom. Where's it going? Okay, there you go. Okay, so I've got something I have to fix in my design before I put it out there for y'all. Got a duplicate on there, so let me make a note to myself to go fix it in my software. Alright, so there's the heart at the bottom. It's over here. So instead of doing this and, testing the design that I've recreated because I already had it once. All right, so now we're going to go to do the scrolls, and I need to change my software, change my thread because I'm going to use gold. When I looked at this in my software, I thought everything was copacetic with it, but I do need to make a couple of changes before I post the design on my group. And my Facebook is Regina's Crafting and More on Facebook, and there'll be a link to it. Let's see here. Sorry to get in front of you. All right. All right, so now it's going to do the scrolls. hold my thread, let it get started, and raise my needle and cut that off, and continue. So I'm just using cardstock that I bought at Office Depot, and it's kind of cute. It has little different teeny tiny specks of color in it. And I know you can buy different things at Hobby Lobby and Michael's and Joann's that has texture to it, cardstock that you could use. I just took 8.5 by 11 and cut it back. Whoops, oh, there it goes again. All right, so let me back up. And rethread. I do not understand. My machine is fairly new. I got it in December. I have done a lot of embroidery, but the last 6 weeks I have done nothing because I could not sit in my sewing room because of my hip replacement. Would just kill my legs. So this is my first day back in here. All right, so I'm going to hold my thread because something is going on. Okay, use a needle and trim that thread, and put it down and start again. So it's done the first scroll at the top. We're almost finished. So there's only a couple of jump stitches or cut stitches on here. The rest of the lines are continuous stitching. And we're done, despite, it didn't take too long, despite the thread popping out of the needle. So there's the design. Hopefully you can see that. There it is. I don't know if it works better back here or not, because I'm looking at a small lens on my phone. So let me go to the cutting table and I'll be right back. All right, I'm at the cutting table. I'm going to take this off my hoop. Maybe that lets you see it a little better. Okay. And that way. So I'm going to just cut this back with my scissors. And since this was just there we go. I'm trying to determine how much. There we go. All right, so I just poked a hole in my stabilizer and turn back what isn't stitched down. I'm going to cut it right here even for the time being. And okay, so turn that back and trim that off. And that's where my sticky back was. I'm just turning it back again. Let me turn this back and cut from this side, because I do recycle my leftover stabilizer. never know when you might need some small pieces to fill a hole or whatever. All right, so trim this back. All right, so there is back of the card. All right, there's the front. One thing I didn't say is when you go to put this down on your hoop, make sure that you're putting it down the right way and you don't flip it, okay? But I think that turned out really cute. So there, it's embroidered directly onto the cardstock. I'll put probably some fabric or another piece of cardstock. I have a piece here that's left over. Yeah, I'll just trim it down and use that sticky back tape and put it in here and cover that up like that. Trim it down to fit just inside. I can probably trim all this back just a little bit more, so when I put that cardstock on there, yeah, this was stuck on that sticky back tape that I put, which will be good when I get ready to put the cover on top of this. All right, so that's it. And like I said, you can use whatever method you want. You can put fabric here, and I may do that. I'll see if I have some pretty fabric I can put there. If not, I've got some decorative cardstock too that I can put on here. And I'll get that off to someone at some point in time. All right. All right. I hope that gives you enough explanation on how to embroider on cardstock and not just embroider on fabric and attaching it to the cardstock. You could also, instead of embroidering directly onto this cardstock, you could embroider onto another piece that was a different color using different thread. Maybe a little dark piece using different thread to highlight this, and attach the other piece of cardstock to the front of this, making it just a little bit smaller than the front of this card. And that would be pretty too. So that might be in another video to come. All right, thank you so much for watching. Give me a thumbs up, like and share, and we'll be seeing you again. Thank you. All right, I wanted to show you what the card looked like when I finished with it. So that's the front, and then I took some red cardstock, trimmed it down a little bit smaller than the inside here, and used that Seala tape, or you could use, once again, the double-sided tape, and taped it down. So don't forget, you could also do this on the front and then embroider this design on some white or cream cardstock, and then put the cardstock, pretend this is the front, put the cardstock on here, and you would have a completely different look on the outside of the card, the front of it. And then you could put a piece of white or some pretty fabric or something like that right here. All right. That's what it looks like when it's done.